Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I'll be reading about grammar instruction in communicative language teaching classrooms, students, teachers' perceptions. Uh, Student perspective. This is assignment number 13 for literal reading. Let's begin. Introduction. Grammar is the language framework and system of meaning. Every language seems to have a grammar, and person speaking in similar language will communicate because they naturally understand the grammar structure, which is the rules of meaning. According to Batstone, language without grammar is going to be messy, and it is harder to understand language without looking for this basic framework. So, grammar language will be impossible to learn effectively without following structural rules, as cited in Ronald and Sela 2017. They found that grammar plays a important role in the study of language. The purpose of grammar is to educate those who use English to express their thoughts properly in both in speaking and writing. Research by Azad indicate that grammar is as essential and inseparable part in language teaching. So teachers have tended to use communicative activities in teaching grammar instructions. It is meant that in teaching English as a foreign language, it is necessary to consider not only how learners acquire grammatical competence, but also how they learn to communicate. That is how they develop communication competence. Okay. Using CLT to teach grammar in second language classroom is an effort to improve students' attitude toward language learning and to have positive effect on the learning process. Emphasis placed on grammatical mistakes and fear of making grammar error has a negative impact on students. Those are related to the finding of a study conducted by Nurfak Hara in his study. He revealed that students feel bored when learning English grammar because it makes them confused and lazy to learn. Further, Wilkins, the one providing providing Europe with a standardized program of foreign language teaching, proposed a national syllabus which did not organize the syllabus in terms of grammatical structure, but rather define what learners need to interact with each other. Okay. It means the focus of CLT is language learning through communication, not through mechanical presentation of grammatical form. The changing of teaching culture from teacher-centered to student-centered caused by the CLT approach also brought a change to the concept in how to teach. Moreover, Thornbury distinguished there are two primary kinds of approaches of teaching grammar in CLT: the shallow end approach and the deep end approach. The shallow end approach is taught grammar in a way that we can define as inductive, or it calls a conscious raising. The latter, the lat, the latter, the deep and the deep end approach to CLT considers the implicit learning of grammar in communicative context without any previous and explicit teaching. So, teaching grammar in communicatively teaching grammar communicatively means helping students get used to the rules and patterns in context, either consciously or unconsciously, by paying attention to students' needs. Also, the application whether the teachers choose to teaching grammar in explicit or implicit ways, it will depend on teacher perceptions and knowledge. Literary review. The concept of communicative language teaching. The communicative language teaching, or CLT, is one of approach to language teaching. This approach was found from the awareness of the language as a system for communication, not just a set of the rules. It switched the emphasis of traditional language teaching to grammar and teacher-centered to glasses to the active use of authentic language in learning and acquisition. CLT is an approach that emphasizes communicative ability. Furthermore, Richards contend that CLT describes a set of general principles grounded in the notion of communicative as our competence as the goal of second and foreign language teaching, a new approach that has evolved as our understanding of the process of second language learning has developed. Mm. From the definition previously mentioned, it can be concluded that communicative language teaching, or CLT, is a language teaching that emphasizes interaction as concept of means and final aim of language learning. Role of students, teachers, and grammar instruction in CLT. Communicative language teaching emphasis on self-direction for students. Teachers no longer rely on activities that involve repetition, accuracy, and memorization of sentences. They require students to communicate in context and communicate meaningful and foreign language. As Oxford proposed that this is important for active development of a new language. Yeah, methodology. Research design participants and locale of the study. This the study used intrinsic case study method as the way to collect the data. Crosswell states case study in qualitative approach that involves the study about issue explored through one of or more cases over time through detailed in-depth data and collection involving multiple sources of information. We use intrinsic case study because this study design was focused on the case itself. The case presents an unusual and unique situation. This study was conducted in Islamic Junior High School, Palembang. We chose English teachers and students of the ninth grade at MTS and to Palembang by using purposeful sampling technique. The aim of purposeful sampling was to choose the individual that could provide the information, provide detailed information to help the researcher answer the research questions. Hmm. Data collection and analysis. In this research, in order to find out the teacher and student's perception in grammar instruction in communicative language teaching, we use interviews in order to gain information. To analyze the data of teachers and students' perception towards grammar instruction in communicative language teaching classroom, the data from interview to, to uh, were analyzed to determine information about teachers and students' perception toward grammar instruction in communicative language teaching classroom. After we collected the data, we analyzed the data by using thematic analysis. In this research, we used trustworthiness to evaluate qualitative data analysis to make sure the findings were credible. Crosswell defines validating is the researcher evaluate authenticity or credibility of the result through some techniques such as member checking or triangulation. Conclusion. Based on the data analyzed by using thematic analysis, it was found teachers and students' perception toward grammar instruction in communicative language teaching. The first perceptions in teaching grammar instruction in communicative language teaching classroom. First, the teachers think that provide students with explicit explanation was an effective way to teach grammar instruction in the CLT classroom. Two, in learning preceded teachers using group and pair work was was designed to promote communication in CLT classroom. And third, teachers claim that in learning process, error correction was one of processes students to mastering materials, so correcting mistakes was an obligation for teachers. The second, students' perception in learning grammar in communicative language teaching classroom. First, students consider grammar as an important part in learning English, so that they need to know and learn grammar. Two, students claim that learning grammar in CLP with group activities help them to learn and practice comfortably. And third, in learning, students' error has been considered helpful in achieving successful communicative competence, so students did not feel bad when teachers corrected their mistakes. And I think that is all for my reading today. Thank you for watching the video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.